Hey everybody, this is Dianne, your 40-something from the land of ice, snow, and the house where apparently sled dogs kill ravens.
That sounds not as interesting as my cornfield, shingles blowing off my house, water eroding away on my new construction plot.
Oh no.
I'm your zombified 30-something Brian in Iowa.
And we are here with an episode of Biters, taking a bite out of the season finale of The Walking Dead.
Biting my bleepity bleep tongue.
So do we just want to launch into ratings?
Yeah, let's just skip let's just zip through this stuff and let's get to what 9 people have already commented on our Facebook group about.
I think I'm even going to hold back the numbers from last episode. I'll give you the numbers next week when we premiere Fear.
Yeah, sounds good. Hell with it.
All right, so I gave it 3.978 little future serial killers out of 5.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
It was Negan's.
I'm going to give it 3 Anchormans out of 5.
Oh, excellent. That was a good quote.
Yeah, good old Eugene, man. I was proud of him, but as the episode was going, I was, going back to my bold predictions which were, man, I was doing really good at the beginning of the second half on my bold predictions, but I took a couple on the chin here towards the end. However, if you count my 5 that I said we're going to have 5 deaths, we had 5 injuries. So
okay, wait a minute. So Daryl is injured, Carol is injured, Maggie is down for the count, even though it's not necessarily an injury. Okay, tell me the other 2.
Is Glenn hurt?
No, but Eugene is really messed up.
Eugene is hurt, so there's 4. And somebody's dead. 5.
Yeah, there you go.
So you know what? I'm going to limp into that as not being right, but just let the infection set and I'll be right.
There you go. So I was thinking about the bold predictions, and obviously one of us is right. We may both be right because I think we had a couple of shared bold predictions, but
Thomas out there, Thomas Reeser, he'll correct us. He was keeping count on mine for a while. So Thomas Reese, I'm counting on you.
Well,
who's right?
We're going to get into ways that people are already trying to Zapruder it, as Scott Gimple said on The Talking Dead. But because I do think that you have some good thoughts about that, and I want to go into those. So The title was The Last Day on Earth, and I remember hearing from cast members that they were puking and crying when they read the script.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, I'm not sure, because now, based on what was said on The Talking Dead, I kind of get the impression that cast members don't even know themselves who died.
I think that's a cover.
Do ya?
I think they know who's dead, but I think they're just saying that so they don't get asked. That is the easy out. We don't know until we go back to film.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't put it past the producers to keep them all on their seats, or on the edges of their seats, rather. But,
so what were they puking about then? What were they crying about? And Andrew Lincoln was up all night. And you were up all night because you were filming in the dark?
Yeah, I don't know what they were puking and crying and not sleeping about, because quite honestly, I read episode 100, so I knew this was coming. Or issue 100, excuse me. I'm not sure. Am I just that cold and hard that I wasn't impacted that way?
No. I don't think a lot of people were impacted the way everybody thought they were going to be. So we've got a lot of stuff to talk about here. Where do you want to start?
Well, let me just hit a couple of our standard things. So,
well, we know who wrote and directed all
sure,
this one.
Absolutely. What do you think the title meant? Because I was kind of thinking about different things. I mean, obviously, it's the back and forth with the guy who is the apparent leader for the Saviors that said, this is your last day on Earth, or be kind to people because you never know when it's somebody's last day on Earth. But I also thought about what that really means. I mean, I think about loss. When we're talking last day on Earth, I think about Armageddon. And obviously it refers to one person's death, a specific person's death.
Yeah, I think it was definitely foreshadowing somebody's dying. So if you don't listen to our podcast and you were just somebody who just happened to be going through the routine, last day on Earth, someone's going to die.
God, I don't know how you could have missed all of the foreshadowing for this death. But...
Yeah. if it's just one of those, things like. I think they were very straight up. I don't think there were too many hidden meetings with this, and it was just going to that interaction because you had Rick who was just being like, "Yep, whatever," for lack of a better term, bite me.
Yeah,
bite me. You ain't so tough. And then they ran into another roadblock, and you could see him visually realizing,
One of the things I thought about the roadblocks is each one got a little more horrific.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that also really increased their sense of terror and our sense that they were truly getting trapped, truly getting boxed in, as you mentioned.
Yeah. So we kind of seen that coming. We chatted this time during the show, which we typically don't, but it was special tonight. So we chatted during the show, and as it was going on, I'm like, they're getting boxed in.
And
they're getting boxed in.
I thought, especially when they fired off warning shots in the second confrontation, I think it was, that those were not actually warning shots. They were communicating with another group. Yep,
they were saying, "Hey, they're coming. Hey, they're coming. Get this up. Get this ready." So that was coming, and Lordy, it's just one of them things. But back to our format here. There's just so many things going through my head right now, and I'm just checking on the interaction with people, and this is going to be fun. Let's make this fun.
Of fun.
As pissed off as we are, let's make fun.
The other thing I thought about the meaning, just really quickly, is that I kind of felt like they went through Armageddon in season 1. That was already the last day on Earth. So I just think it's interesting to look back on season 1. Just real quick, I did do a featured cast member, and I felt like it had to be time with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, which apparently the Talking Dead thought that as well.
Yeah, he was our surprise cast member tonight.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure that he has physically proved to me that he's Negan, but the intellect is definitely there, and the twisted intellect is definitely there.
Yeah, he was definitely a smooth talker.
Yeah.
In this episode, because when, I don't really get too much into actors, actresses. Well, I get into actresses, but when he was, I didn't know how tall he was. I didn't know how much he weighed. And looking at comic book Negan, who's got some girth to him.
That's exactly what I picked up on.
When he stepped out of the trailer, I was kind of like, what?
This dude's really skinny.
This guy's supposed to be big, scary Negan.
Yeah.
But then as he started to talk and elaborate, he did it all with just this confidence and swagger that only a badass mofo could do.
Yeah, Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
I was just going to say that he's definitely got the character and the mentality down, so I can forgive them not bulking him up a little bit.
Yeah, in which it's not that hard. I mean, if you get cast, look at what people like Hugh Jackman have done to their bodies in a very short amount of time. That there's ways to put on mass without actually being strong, and it's kind of surprising that they didn't say, "Okay, this is who you're going to be. Let's do this. Here's your trainer and dietitian for the next 5 months. You're going to put on about 30 pounds. So
I was thinking, here's your trainer and here's your bottle of protein powder.
Yeah.
So he was born on April 22nd, 1956 in Seattle. And I was thinking to myself as I was writing that down, boy, this is a hella birthday present, man. Getting introduced to the world as Negan, that's a pretty good birthday present. He is known for Grey's Anatomy, which I will admit now I have never watched. He's known for Supernatural, which I will also admit I've only tried to watch a little bit and I haven't got into it. Loved Weeds. Apparently he had a spot on Weeds, so I'm going to have to go back and look at Weeds again. And then he's well known for the movie The Watchmen.
Yep, The Watchmen is where I knew him from.
He says that he likes to spend his spare time with friends, painting, writing, and reading. And here's something really funny. This is a quote that I found. He says, I'm just looking always for characters that change because I want to get better as an actor and as a person.
I just want an actor to come on. They're like, what do you like to do for fun? I want a guy to come on and be like, I like to snort lines of coke off a dead hooker's ass cracks. I like heavy metal music. I might worship Satan, and I like to just recklessly break things.
That is hilarious.
It'd be like, yes, this guy's the only one telling the truth. It's just like, yes, this guy's hilarious. Why not? Everyone's all like, oh, I like fine dining and muffins and croissants. And
he did let a little bit of his character show on Talking Dead tonight. He said that when he picked up Lucille, it felt right.
Yeah. So that's cool. I mean, that's neat. So while my first impression when he stepped out of that RV, I was like, what? I quickly got on board with him playing the character. Once he started to speak and walk and pace with the bat, you could tell he had some viable street cred.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a good call. I think that's definitely one of the best things to come out of this episode is the casting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we get into epic fail and epic fail, I just want to say that I prematurely said on Facebook that it looked like we were going to have some special guests tonight. Let the cat out of the bag. Jeff and Kirk were talking about coming back for the finale, which we were totally open to. Unfortunately, our recording time didn't work with their times, so they're going to try to get on board with us in the future here very shortly.
So it was a dead cat that we let out of the bag.
There you go.
Schrodinger's cat was dead.
It was a prematurely born cat that we let out of the bag.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to hit me with your epic?
Yeah, so my epic that I really caught on and I really liked was the Saviors really stuck to their plan. They knew where they were trying to get to. They knew all the routes to get there. And they knew how they were going to. So they systematically stuck to the plan. And it worked flawlessly.
That's a great epic.
The thing that they knew who, what, where, why, when, and how. He even said it. We know where you're going. There's multiple ways. He even talked him into it. There are multiple ways to get where you're going.
So I loved the double meaning of that sentence that was spoken by that character, because he was absolutely right. There are multiple ways to get where you're going, and I thought, and Rick has no idea what that really means. Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, which he then said it to him when they were on their knees, I told you were going to get to where you were going.
Yep.
Right here. And you could have done this easily a long time ago, but you wanted to do it here. And you just kept doing this over and over and over. So, love it.
Yeah, and they totally herded our group into that situation.
Yeah, it was great. I absolutely just loved the Saviors sticking to the plan. It shows. So here's a direct reference. Remember last week when I was like, it just seems like there's no order in Alexandria.
Right.
Everybody gets to do whatever the hell they want to do.
And they did it again.
And they did it again. Oh, I'm going. And
Yep.
I pinged you and I said, there's a lot of named characters in that RV.
Yep.
But in the Saviors, there is a clear rank and file. You do not do anything Negan does not tell you to do. Here's how this operates. Here's how this is going to function. And this is what's going to happen.
Let me tell you, that rank and file looks really scary.
Yeah, it does.
When they were all lined up at the end there, I just looked through all of them and I thought, man, these people look scary. They look like they're committed.
Yeah, it was. So what's your epic?
My epic was the introduction of the kingdom.
The kingdom, huh? The kingdom, you say.
So I was really excited to see those soldiers from the kingdom, because you called it last week. You said, I bet that guy that Rick shot, the guy that was looking for his horse, was somebody from the kingdom. And then these two soldiers from the kingdom come up on Carol and Morgan, and they're just there in all of their glory. And they did such a nice job of creating that sort of medieval look with current modern armor.
Yeah, it's like they had some of the old body armor that Glenn
Yeah.
had taken from the prison, the riot armor, and they had just slapped some paint on it, and they made it look neat and futuristic.
Hey, I gotta apologize to everybody. I'm stuck alone again, and my Great Pyrenees is losing her.
Yeah, she is angry.
So I just really apologize. There's nothing I can do other than turn off and leave, and that ain't gonna happen. So,
So if anyone is interested in learning more about the kingdom, actually before that stuff gets revealed, we're not going to be that source of information because neither of us have read that far in the comics. We've all kind of stopped at that point or well before. So that's kind of where that stops with us. So if you're looking at doing stuff like that, by all means, that's what Wikipedia is for. Have a good one. However, just to let you know, we have no subject matter experts on our crew that will be able to talk to that beyond that.
And I've got to tell you two things in response to that. One is that I know that the kingdom is important in the upcoming storyline in the comic books, but I can't tell you a whole lot more than that. And if people really do want to look, the Walking Dead wiki is actually pretty cool. I mean, I find some good information and some good contributions on there. So, neither one of us mentioned Negan and Lucille as our epics, so I have to say, okay. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo was pretty epic, even if Negan didn't do it right.
Yeah, they couldn't do it the way they really wanted to or needed to, just because cliffhangers.
Right, and I think the fact that he kind of skipped over words and pointed at the person when he wanted to point at the person made his choice that more unpredictable.
Mm-hmm. So what's your fail then?
Oh, so I am so sick of Carol trying to die. I just really was kind of like, all right, let her die already.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat. When she, Morgan's like, nope, not leaving. And then she wound up ditching Morgan.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool.
And I thought, you can't babysit a grown woman 24/7 in the zombie apocalypse. You just can't.
Yeah, and at some point you just have to say, if they have a death wish, they have a death wish. It's kind of the suicide by cop mentality. Yeah. I don't have enough. I can't kill myself, but I can go create trouble to where someone's going to kill me.
So the other thing that kind of struck me about it is that there was so much energy spent on saving Maggie, literally and metaphorically, and it was really, really important. And who ends up getting saved? Carol ends up getting saved. Carol and Morgan.
We'll get to that point in a little bit.
So I have a question for you, and you may want to answer it now. You may want to hold until we're at that point a little bit more. But when Morgan first came up on Carol and saw her kind of leaning in that doorway or crouched in that doorway, did he see a convert or did he see a friend?
I think he's seen his own guilt.
Oh, okay.
I think he feels 100% responsible for the position Carol is in right now. And that is the only reason he's out there right now.
Now, see, I think that he sees himself as Eastman and he sees her as him.
If she picks up a bow staff, we're done.
If she picks up a bow staff, somebody else needs to apply for Brian's job.
Yeah. If she picks up a bow staff, I'll be damn impressed because she's got a couple of rounds in her right now in each one of her limbs and a side gash. And you know what I mean, though? Like, we're not going to do this, are we? I think he just seen like, I'm on the hook for this. I'm on the hook for this. This is me. This is my fault.
So my other question is, and you may want to answer this later too, but has Morgan found his true home in the kingdom?
He might have. They're like, hey, let's help. And he's like, oh, cool. Let's do this.
Yeah. I mean, they really looked like there was an instant connection there.
Yeah, maybe. Time will tell. I don't think we've got until October. So we've got 7 months to wait this thing out. 6 months to wait this thing out.
So I have 6 months to debark my dog.
Yeah.
Except we hired her for her bark. So. So what was your fail?
My fail was the cast, not the cast, Alexandria making the same dumb mistakes again.
Piling out into the RV. And
they had 6 named characters in the RV, 5 named characters, whatever, 6. And they all left, and they see them blocking the road, and you try another road, fine. And then once you hit that second road, you should have been like, we need to go home.
I actually thought when Rick said go back that he was conceding and going back to Alexandria.
And, you know, here's the thing. Maggie's life is not worth everybody else's. And you would have to assume that someone was like, no, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. If you want to get her there, you are walking her there yourself. We're done. Because we're all going to die. And for all we know, Alexandria could be burnt to the ground right now.
So, and that's the other thing. That's the other component of your fail. So not only did essentially every named character we could think of except Enid end up in the RV, but there was still no accounting for Daryl, Glenn, Michonne, or Rosita. Our group didn't know where they were.
Mm-hmm.
And so they essentially left who? Tobin, Gabriel, and Spencer?
Yeah. And some other no-namers that were there. It's just like, you're kidding me, right?
Yeah. And while I did think the fact that Gabe has really stepped up and he's all of a sudden become a really cool cat, you know, I thought that was neat. But I also thought there's no way with what they've got that they can protect Alexandria.
Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow. And it was very frustrating again. Because out of all the 5 bad things that happened this season, it's all because nobody thought things through. That rank and file was not there. Rick said, nope, me, this person, and this person are going. And then Aaron talked his way on.
Right.
And then Eugene talked his way on. And then Lenny McSquiggles talked his way on. You know, it just kept, so it was tough.
And the only reason Enid didn't talk her way on is that Carl actually pulled a good fast one and locked her in the closet.
Which was cool, because then she's like, what am I supposed to do if you don't come back? And he's like, just survive somehow.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a dick move, because what if nobody walks in there? Now she's going to starve to death inside of the damn closet.
And turn into a walker. I guess that's kind of surviving
cool?
Somehow.
So, like, he gets back there and she, like, starved to death. And, like, he opens it and she's Enid zombie.
That would be messed up.
But I think they're going to be going back in about that next morning. They will be limping back to Alexandria. Yeah,
I do think that the death has happened and now Negan is going to let them go because that's his pattern. He kills one person as an example and lets the group go. And now he thinks our group is cowed and is going to serve him.
Maybe they will. Maybe they won't.
Maybe they will. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they do that. In fact, so my question for you now, what was the hard left? Was the hard left not showing us who got killed?
I think we'll discuss that later.
Oh, okay, good. You've got something for that. Excellent. So should we go to our epic fails then?
Yes.
Okay.
Rifle off your epic.
So my epic fail was the cliffhanger. You know, we've already talked about it quite a bit, but I felt like I had a big, bad case of Walking Dead blue balls.
Yeah, so my epic fail is the same, and I'm sure everybody else's. So about 2 weeks ago, a spoiler came out, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm watching this spoiler. And it was from like a Japanese source or something, and it came out that you don't actually find out who dies. You just see it from their point of view. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So then I asked Dianne, I'm like, hey, do you want to know what I just read? And you're like, hell yeah. And I told you, and you're like, that's not going to happen. No way. And then as you said, as I thought about it,
kept passing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough pill to swallow. So, I'm just as pissed off as everybody else. But friends, family, all sorts of stuff. Scott Gimple said one thing on The Talking Dead, and everyone's cries were heard. The fact that they addressed this in the final minutes of The Talking Dead, he said, we understand why you're frustrated, but there's 2 things. One, he made the comment that the swing of the bat ended a storyline and started anew. So that's the reason it was placed there, because that is the end of the storyline. This is the end of the story as you know The Walking Dead. Everything you thought and realized and you knew to be true is over. Now, the other part of that is, Sky Gimple said, we have to follow it up. We know how you feel, so think about how awesome we're going to make episode 1 of season 7. To justify doing what we did, we have to make it that much more badass.
I think he really set himself up for something huge.
Yeah, I mean that is going to be a big crack at the bat, so to speak. You know, you got to have some nuts to them bolts, I guess, is a way to say it, but you have to. I mean, it's a pretty big deal, and it is going to it's going to require a lot. I mean, it's just going to have to be that way. Period. Plain and simple.
Yeah, we don't have any control over it. It's not like we can go back and watch what was on the DVR and all of a sudden have it be different. However, we do know a couple of things, right? We know that Rick and Carl were spared.
Yes.
Because Negan makes the comment about if he starts screaming, cut out the kid's other eye and feed it to his dad.
Okay, so we're going to talk about, okay, so we're done with epic fails and fails. We're in the Rotten Potpourri section now.
Oh, before we get into Rotten Potpourri, though, I just want to encourage people to join us for Fear the Walking Dead, because we are going to continue to podcast and cover Fear.
Yes, Fear has a lot of good stuff coming up in it, so don't forget to do that. And since we're taking a TV timeout, also we did do a little feedback for some T-shirts real quick before we hit Rotten Potpourri. The T-shirt link is out there on the Facebook group, or you can go to southgatemediagroup.com/biters on our company's hosting page, and there they have phone covers and T-shirts that have the Biters logo and all that stuff. Make sure you go to the Southgate Media Group page or the stuff we have linked in Facebook if you want to buy some phone covers or shirts with the logo and stuff on it. Show, throw your horns up, as us metalheads call it. Throw your horns up with the Biters. Take a pic. If you wrap your baby in it, put your dog in it. Put your wife in it, husband in it. Do whatever you do. Send us Biters. If it's Biters around the world, Biters UK, down in Australia, over in China, wherever you're at, throw your pictures up of your new Biter gear on the Facebook page. We would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, we definitely want to see that. I've got one coming. I hope it gets here before I leave for Hawaii. I'm crossing my fingers.
All right, so let's do this now. All right.
Okay, so that mildering stuff, that nasty molded stuff at the bottom of our feet. What you got?
Rotten Potpourri. So let's discuss it. So we've got the swing of the bat. He's going eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and they flash a bunch of people. So the one thing I will say is Kirkman said there are some hints as to who it was, but it was shot this way so you couldn't say, well, based off of the angle of this tree divided by 45 with this leaf blowing that same in the scene shot, and you can't figure it out that way. But they did say that there were hints on who it is. So I will offer you this through my keen eyes of observation, which is probably wrong. So as he is standing in front of the individual, and he says, you can cry, you can blink, but, basically don't step out of line because then you're going to die too. He says, if anyone does that, cut out the kid's eye and feed it to his dad.
Yeah.
And when he said, cut out the kid's eye, he leaned his head one way, and feed it to his dad, he leaned his head the other way, indicating that he is standing in between Carl and Rick. The two people in between Carl and Rick is Sasha and Aaron. So, at the first crack of that bat, he goes, oh, taking it like a champ. And then he proceeded to bash and bash and bash. So, given those couple of things, you asked me, you said, who could take it like a champ?
Yeah, what does that mean? Who does that indicate?
To me, saying that is that he's talking about a woman. Like, oh, you didn't just cry. You're taking it like a champ.
And I certainly would not put it past Negan to be just a wee bit sexist.
Yeah. So the other hint that I am offering is she almost started crying when Abe said he could have a baby.
That is totally what I was going to follow up with. So Abe is now like, I totally want to have a family with you, which is a complete 180 from where he was earlier in the season.
Make it this quick.
Yeah. And I think that is the thing that dooms her. Obviously not. It doesn't force Negan to pick her. But overall, just that whole, wow, everything's great and we're so happy. She's doomed.
Everything is awesome. Oh, wrong show. Sorry.
Although my other thing would be, I still think there's a fair chance that it's Glenn. Because I think to a certain degree they owe us this. They've punked us about Glenn so much. I think they owe us his death.
So I will say this. I don't think the killing's going to stop with one.
Really?
Because nobody in that line can stand there and watch it happen. Somebody's got to get out of line, make a charge, do stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, like Glenn lurched out and almost got to him.
Right.
That was your freebie. Next one's going to cost you.
So I think if we think it's Sasha, the person who's going to lurch out and try to save her, obviously, is Abe.
Mm-hmm. So that's that. So that's just my theory. That's just my quick analyzation of who it is and just the mannerisms, whether they were incidental or not, or if he was just doing kind of whatever. That's kind of my educated guess is that it's Sasha, which is kind of going to be disappointing. So I was hoping for another big. I mean,
I was going to say, so tell me
yeah.
again who you want it to be.
I really want it to be Abraham. I love the actor. I met him when he was here for Wizard World last year in Des Moines. He was very nice to give me a couple seconds of his time to record some intro stuff. But I think that would be one of the biggest, he literally bashed Abraham's skull in front of us all.
Yeah.
And then the guy came over and took a picture with a Polaroid.
Now here's my question. Maybe you can answer this here. Are they going to pick up exactly where they left off and have us see the death and see the person on the ground with their brains splattered everywhere? Or are we going to wake up in Alexandria the next morning with everybody down in the dumps?
If they time jump this, I will be so pissed off. I will be more pissed than what I am right now.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be a bad call. I think they have to take us right to where they are now and show us the goods, show us the gruesome stuff. Yes,
that's the whole freaking point. You cannot kill any one of those people in the lineup and then just wake up in Alexandria or the drive home. You need to show us that moment. Everybody's emotions of the skull crack and the blood and the brain matter. And then they say, now pick that person up and take them back home.
That would be good. And so the other thing is, Gimple said on The Talking Dead tonight that, they want us to feel like we are a part of that group kneeling in the lineup, that they want us to have the same terror and apprehension. And I think if they take us out of that by, oh, well, now we're all back on Alexandria and this was really horrible, that would be a real disservice to what he expresses that he wants the fans to experience.
Yeah, I think so. You have got to show me that moment. You have got to show me that emotion. You've got to show me other people's faces. You've got to show me Rick's face when it just felt like Rick wanted to cry.
I will say, so I actually wrote in my notes that Rick looked exactly like he did when he had to kill the Claimers. He had that same just completely shell-shocked look on his face. The only thing that was missing was him leaning up against a car covered in blood.
Yeah, you can see that he's disconnected again. That he is just out there. He can't believe what's happening, his whole world. But they did a good job of telling that story. Your world is over. This is your world now. You now work for me.
Well, once again, he was so damn cocky talking about, we can do it. We can do whatever we want as long as we're together.
You can die together too, pal.
Yeah. That's totally what I was thinking when he was saying that.
Yeah, so I loved it. I love that part. It was not my favorite episode of the year by any means, but you know what? We'll see.
Okay, so I got another question for you.
Okay.
The sign that Morgan came across at the very beginning that says "You are alive," just as he's like ready to, just as he comes across the horse. What the hell was that?
I don't know who, how, or why, or where that's coming from, but I think it's just a reminder to him because of his beliefs now that every life is precious, and if you can read this, that means you're alive.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you something funny. I wrote in my notes, "Every life is precious, apparently, until you threaten Carol."
Until you threaten Carol. Well, I think it just goes back to what she was telling him. She's like, you just don't get it, do you?
Yeah.
You don't get it. Because you love them means you are going to have to kill for them, Morgan, and you don't get it. And I think that's where she put a chink in his armor, of, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I've never loved anybody since Dwayne and his wife.
Yeah.
And he never had to. And as it's kind of gone on, he's never been connected. And the only one he's just had any sort of connection with was Carol in the last couple of episodes. Even though it was hate and discontent, he still felt that responsibility and guilt of who she had become now. And that she had retreated so far away from her original self that she left and is now going to get other people killed in her place.
Mm-hmm.
And when she said that to him, because he had no comparison, he didn't have anybody that he loved. She did. And I think that really resonated with him. And as he was standing there, he realized that I will have to kill to protect her. And he gave the guy the option. And then watching the shots, it was abdomen, chest, throat, head. You could see the red spots on the body as that guy was getting shot. It was pretty cool.
So that guy said that he was pretty sure he was dying anyway, and in the last episode, I was pretty sure he was having a heart attack. Do you think that's what was happening?
No, I think it was just that he had that shoulder wound and he just been losing blood over and over and over, and I think that as he was going on, the more you exert yourself, the more you're going to bleed because the more your heart is pumping. So I think he knew that he was eventually going to bleed out from this wound because he had no dressing. He had no way to pack the wound. He had nothing. So he was going down, and I think he just knew it.
I did think they did a good job faking us out at the beginning. I was, looking at the rosary kind of dangling from someone's hands and these kind of generic boots and pants, and I thought, oh, it's Carol. And then they flashed up and it was him, and I was like, oh, good one. Good fake out.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to this episode. As very streamlined as it was and very, very one channel that you had, that click and then the big click, there were still a lot of moving parts within each storyline. So that was pretty cool. One thing that I loved was Eugene really stepping up and just saying, hey, here's how it's going to be. I'm going to drive the RV. He was accepting his death by giving Rick the bullet information. I don't think Eugene's the one who got the bat. I don't think that's too obvious. A la Dianne turning over the plans to Michonne.
Right.
I don't think that's way too easy to figure out that it's going to be Eugene. I just don't think it's his time yet. I think they do need to set up the ammo factory because I think long term they can buy protection from other people with that ammunition, and Negan may not be aware of the ammo facility. So as they're cranking out these bullets, Negan may not be aware that they have guns. So, he knows they have guns, but if they find some later, they make ammunition for it. Like Hilltop, he's rolling in there because he knows none of these guys have guns.
Right. He
goes rolling into his crew, and then all of a sudden everybody starts popping off rounds, catches them off guard, they're all dead. Where did you guys get the ammo? Well, we've been making it.
I definitely think in the moment, though, they did a great job kind of milking that emotion and convincing us that Eugene was going to die. I was actually a little bit surprised when I saw him alive again at the end of the episode.
Well, yeah, it was. I was confused by Abraham's look to Eugene because he really just looked pissed off at Eugene. Like, looked at him and like, and then maybe Rick too was like, "You bastard."
Yeah, you messed this up too, man.
But how is he? How is he not supposed to mess it up? I don't understand.
Right.
Because you guys have been tracked by people every single path on these things. When you guys were all bailing out of the thing, they knew they were watching you the entire time.
Okay, and the Mockingjay moments with the whistling, that was creepy as hell.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
It was really good.
I like that.
Let's see.
So one thing I had from a tactical thing was after the first group, I would have broke out the back window of the RV. So then when you're turning it around,
you can fire.
You have like 3 people just pop up with their rifles and just take a couple of shots at everybody because you have a rifle. So if you're 200 yards away, that's gravy train. You just sit up from that back window and just start firing rounds down range and take a couple out, then go back because I mean you've got some supplies to do so. You have to know we're in trouble. Even Abraham was like, we are up a shit creek up to our chest with our mouths wide open.
That was a hilarious line.
You know, he knew it. He knew we are making a bad decision. Keep trying to get there. This is a bad idea. Why are we doing this?
So I want to ask you, who are the people at the library? Did I miss that, or did they just kind of spring this guy on us as part of the larger world?
I just think they just brought it a part of the larger world. You know, they tried to just bring them in and they chased him down. Like I said, they needed somebody to make an example out of. And this was already kind of there. It was just showing us, the viewers, more groups that Negan's group is just willing to, hey, you're not producing, we're offing you. Period. We're done.
I actually really thought they were going to light him on fire at that first scene.
I have that in my notes. So, like, as you can see my thoughts as they're going, I'm like, spray paint on his chest? Is it to light him on fire? Is it some kind of flammable? Because that's what I thought they were going to make an example out of him. Like, the guy's there and they just burn him alive right in front of him.
That's totally what I thought, too.
But then I'm like, oh, maybe they just don't want mosquitoes on him. But then they throw him over and I'm like, oh, it was a big orange X. But why?
I missed the orange X. How funny.
When they threw him over, they were hanging him from the bridge.
Oh, okay.
With the logs, he had a big orange X on his chest. I'm like, okay, but why the orange X? Is that to say, hey, this is the same guy? Because like when you see him hanging there, it's like his teeth are all busted out and his nose is broke. I mean, so they worked the dude over before they threw him over. So it's like, I get it, but it was like very shocking to Carl and Eugene, I think, is who it rocked the most. Like, holy crap, they just did this in front of us to prove a point.
Well, and cred to Nicotero and Gimple and Negrete, however you say it, that was a really powerful scene. I mean, just that image of that guy hanging and the logs burning, that was a very powerful scene.
Yeah, and so it all kind of goes back down to my epic of the Saviors really stuck to the plan, no matter what. And to take the words from Negan as he steps out, hey, anybody pissed their pants yet?
Oh, God. And I have to say, having him come out of the RV, that was really good, too.
Yeah, now it's time to meet the man.
Yeah, the way that he made that entrance and the way that he was introduced, that was really great.
All my notes are, I think they're getting boxed in. Why aren't they going home? Just go home. Just kept going on. I'm like, just go back. Just go back. Go home. So one thing is when they were coming back from the commercials, we kept seeing that black screen with those bullet hole kind of deals in it. And I thought that was the wall of the RV because Rick stares at those bullet holes in the RV.
Yeah, no, I was totally bought in when you sent that text to me. I was like, that explains it. I've been trying to figure that out this whole time.
Yeah, so that's what I thought it was. And I thought, this is going to be cool because, they're going to capture him. And I thought maybe it was Enid who was hiding in there, thinking like, oh crap, she's going to pop out and, maybe she's going to try and kill somebody or save Carl, and then she's going to be the one who dies. I kept running through these scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, it was Daryl and Glenn and Michonne and all them, but also very cool when they had the Red Rover group of walkers. That they ripped out some of Michonne's dreads.
Oh, and planted Daryl's arrows. And
yeah. That was pretty cool. It's just like, no, we've also got your people. Not only are we completely boxing you in and screwing with you guys, we've also got your people.
That was a really great way to send that message. I mean, talk about messing with somebody's head.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick showed it. I mean, in the very next scene, he's standing there kind of gripping Michonne's dreads, and he just looks freaked out.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to, I've always said it, Rick is not a good leader, and he cracks under pressure every single time.
What do you call it? You say, like, picking up the telephone, or...
Yeah, picking up the phone again. Yeah. Rick's grabbing the phone again.
He's grabbing the phone again big time.
Let's see. I think that's it for my notes. It was just a lot of the same stuff. I'm sure you guys are feeling the same way. So let's run through this whole thing, shall we? Or do you got one more?
I have one more. It's just a brief little thing, but I wrote it down. I thought it was really important. When they're looking at the guy who is hanging, who is strangling in front of them, and nobody reacts. I mean, they want to shoot him. They want to put him out of his misery. And then Rick says, let him die because we need the bullets. I thought that was a new low for Rick's character, but I also thought this is the new reality. This is the world they're living in now. And Negan even said, welcome to the New World Order. And I look, I know that the New World Order is a conspiracy thing, but I looked it up, and the New World Order is a conspiracy theory referring to the emergence of a totalitarian one world government. And I thought, boy, if that doesn't describe Negan, I don't know what does.
Yeah, no kidding. When he said it, all I thought of was the WCW wrestling back in the mid-'90s of the New World Order and Hulk Hogan and Razor Ramon and Diesel coming out.
And now that takes us perfectly to the feedback, because I do think there was a wrestling reference in the feedback tonight.
Oh, yeah, because one guy said, I should have watched WrestleMania.
Cody, yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going to get onto Facebook while we're chatting here. I do want to just encourage the fans that if they would like to send some cash to me to get our dog Juliet out of the pound for the way that she behaved tonight, I'd be happy to take receipt of that.
So I will say this, and let me just run down here. I would like to thank Cody, Christine, Thomas, Beth, Steph, Mitch, Carla, Carol, and Jill for stopping by, reaching out right after, and Martha, to reaching out and just saying, venting their frustrations or their love. Lots of mixed reactions, like I said. We got Cody should have watched WrestleMania, and Christine, I'll read Christine's here while you're pulling stuff up.
Okay, very good.
I love it. Loved the first 89 minutes of the show. The tension, the traps, the mind games really amped up, and I'm just kind of cruising through it. Gimple did some amazing work. Can't help the feeling that he thinks he's much smarter than he is with that ending. Putting hype before storytelling. That was really the key line that we kind of talked about before here. That being said, she gave it a 4.75 for the finale. She would have given it a full 5 for the ending. So Christine liked it definitely more than we did, but we all still had the same reaction.
And I get the impression from her note that the main reason she gave it a 4.75 was because of Jeffrey Dean Morgan and because of his portrayal as Negan.
Yeah. It's just the way it is, and we're going to have to deal with it for 6 months, I guess.
So I'm going to read a little more positive one. This is from Steph Muratori. I hope I'm saying your name right. I thought it was awesome. Got a sense of how big the saviors are. Carol and Morgan are headed for the kingdom, perhaps. My heart hurt watching the last 20 minutes. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was amazing. I think they cut the end perfectly. Like Scott Gimple said, this event is the start of a new story. Amazing.
I agree. So Thomas, overall, I think it was a solid episode. Kind of disappointing. He gives it a 3.75 headshots. Negan did not disappoint. Morgan, Carol, Kingdom. Kind of scrolling down. Not sure, but Thomas Reese, believes 75% it's Glenn, 20% Rick, 5% It was Maggie. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I want to say that he mentioned that we're going to get Fear for the next 8 weeks, and I actually think we get Fear for the next 16. Because if I remember right, the second season is going to be 16.
I think it might be 12. I don't know. I haven't really looked too far ahead.
I'm pretty sure it's 16, but you can call me next time if I'm wrong. You can call me out.
16. So that'd be 4 months.
Which is just about enough to give us a little break before the main show comes back on.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, and depending on what holidays fall, like July, stuff like that. Anyways.
Let's see. Gosh, there's just so much. Kirk shared some great art for the same boat for his tribute piece. We got terrific feedback from people for having the episode up so quickly. And I'm really psyched about that. And I did talk with Rob, who is our editor at Southgate, and it sounds like he's going to shoot for getting it up tomorrow for us. So
yeah,
I'm really
it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Mitch here, he thinks it's either Aaron or Eugene, and he's going to be crushed if it's Carl. I don't think it's going to be Carl or Rick. I think he was purposely saying those two things.
Yeah.
To say, hey, these two are safe. However, he could take Carl's other eye after he's bashed out and feed it to Rick anyways.
I don't think so. I think he's going to make Rick suffer.
Yeah, well, I think he likes Carl because, hey, I don't want to kill you, man. You're the future serial killer of the world.
Yeah.
So he knows.
Not to spoil, but I remember that he does develop this kind of weird admiration for Carl in the books. So I think you caught on to that pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. I have to laugh at Thomas Reese's other reaction. He said, that was kind of bullshit.
Yeah. Carla here, she said something that we kind of talked about. She said, I think marketing and selling have taken the reins, not good storytelling. So what we did is, there were a lot of commercials, and I am a Sprint customer, and I think I want to drop Sprint because I've seen the same damn commercial 10 times tonight.
Although I did mention to you that I thought that they had some higher quality commercials on as compared to episodes past.
Yes. But yeah, hey, if you've got more stuff, if you you want to reach out again, say hi. We are going to be here for Fear, so let's take a minute here and talk about Fear for a second, because I think we have a lot of opportunity here with Fear. I think that they had, at the time they were writing and filming Fear, it would have been season 5 of The Walking Dead. So they had 5 seasons or 5 years worth of lessons learned that they can do right in Fear.
You're right.
They have the female lead. They kind of got this stuff going on. So I am optimistic about Fear, just because we get to reboot here. We're given a little bit different scenario where we're going to be on a boat. So the fun things to think about are the decisions and how quickly our group figures out their moral compass, because there's still going to be a lot of alive people. There are still going to be a lot of people who need to be saved and rescued. And at what point and at what cost do you save people or drive away?
And they still have the influence of Strand, who he's definitely not the moral compass of the group.
No, he is not.
And I do want to say, I think that the water treading walkers are really scary.
Yeah, one thing that I always thought of was, like, if you could just get to an island, you would be safe. Or if you had a good, strong current around you, you would be safe.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. Apparently the walkers just kind of float and are just kind of like dead buoys. They just kind of are like just chomping heads that just kind of bob up and down in the water.
I think it has the potential to be really good, and I'm hoping that it lives up to the promise, because the first season was kind of but
yeah, it was kind of because we were so advanced.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you and I talked about how we were looking at season 1 of Fear with the season 6 brain from The Walking Dead.
Your beer goggles, your zombie goggles.
Oh, I like that.
So you had to disconnect from that. You had to kind of forget all the things you've already learned. So the challenging part is going to be, are they going to make it a farm season or are they going to make it a terminus season?
I think if they are really smart, they're going to make it a terminus season, because I think if they make it a farm season, it's not going to survive.
No, I think so. I think if they don't hit this ground running right here, it's gonna fail.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be here. I am very confident that they're going to. It's gonna be, a lot of you and I decisions, because it's so very early on to to make those decisions. And you can make the decision now for life or death for somebody, but can you, less than just a week ago, you were getting a Starbucks.
Yeah.
And you were talking, you were crying about having to flush a goldfish down the toilet, and now you are going to be deciding, this person is going to die if I don't take them with me, but I can't take them with me because I don't know who they are.
I don't know if they've got that figured out yet. I think they might have to come to that realization that you can't trust everybody and you don't really know who people are. That may be a big part of this season. That may be a big part of their learning curve for this season.
Well, we'll definitely see. We'll definitely find out. I am very excited for it. I have that fresh face that I'm ready to kind of take on the opportunity here. We're gonna podcast it, so don't forget about us. We're right here all the time, rocking it and hopefully it'll be up every Monday morning for everyone to download at lunch or something like that.
And I'm happy because, that keeps you contractually obligated for another 16 episodes.
Yes, it does. No, I love doing this. I love podcasting. I really love fan interaction. It is the best. It's a great opportunity. It's fun to do it. We've just been blown away by the way that it has stepped up, and we're really grateful. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's fun to think that 10 people came out and posted after the episode. And while you may not think it's like, 10 people, but only like 1% of people actually do this interaction stuff. So it's fun. It keeps us on our toes. It gives us something to talk about. We like talking about it. I love discussing theories and who's going to do what. And who do you think is dead? Come out. We need to set up some kind of polling numbers or something. Let me look and see if I can do that. But
that would be good, because I'm not that advanced on Facebook yet.
we need to know who you guys think has bit the dust here. So come on out. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you for fear, I guess, huh?
All right. I think we will. So, same time next Sunday.
You betcha. And remember, folks, take it one dead day at a time. Yay!
It only took us the whole season.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.